Hey, this is Steve from Dinner and a Podcast, and you're listening to the Nerd Podcast Mafia. Entertainment your ears can't refuse.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people. Right. You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
Pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Boy, ale with cheese. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And John.
And boys and girls, JD is out again this week. He is still playing with those boys on the floor at wrestling camp. Yeah, at least that's what he tells us he's doing. But nice. we have another great special co-host with us this week. This has been a guest co-host that's about a year in the making, and we finally moved heaven and earth to make it happen this week.
It took that long to clone him.
Yes. He is the grand poobah of the So Wizard podcast. The one and only Joey DiCarlo. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. I managed to pull myself away from the boys I have on my floor to jump on the mic.
Oh, perfect.
We're going to hell. We're going to hell.
So Mark has been on the show before, back when he was running for mayor of the Podcast Mafia. But for those who maybe didn't listen to that episode, or who
how dare they
haven't listened to your show before, why don't you tell them a little bit about So Wizard?
Well, we started a podcast. We had this really interesting, exciting concept that had never been done in podcasting before. Three friends discuss the world of nerd, podcasting weekly.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, though.
That's the elevator pitch. Yeah, it's really me, Marcellus, and Aubrey. We discuss nerdy news topics and review nerdy and genre movies each week. So.
Yes, I actually have been listening to you guys' show before we even joined the Nerd Podcast Mafia, and back when you had another host on the show, who will remain nameless.
Oh, it's okay. You can say Tom used to be on the show. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
We used to have a fourth co-host, but now it's down to three. So.
And there's a lot less bad Pope impressions since he left the show.
You can find those on his new podcast, because he started his own podcast, Not Another Nerdy Podcast.
Yes.
So that's where the Pope impressions went.
I always feel like going, Tom, the 2 popes ago was Polish. The last pope was German, and the current pope's from South America. Where is this Italian accent coming from?
I don't know why the Pope sounds like Dracula from the 30s, but God bless him. God bless him. I just want it, out there in the ether that, when I die, I get up to the gates, I just be like, hey, that wasn't me doing the impression. They'll say, okay, right this way, sir. Right this way to the escalator going down, sir.
Cool. So, you said you were done playing with the boys on your floor. You usually kind of try to get caught up in everyone's week at this point. What have you been up to? Anything fun?
My weeks are very boring. I work and I sleep, and then I work and I sleep. I work third shift, and I spend about 8.5 hours every night lifting boxes, so it's exhausting.
Sounds like fun.
I am going to a concert tomorrow night, so that's excitement. I'm actually using paid time off. I'm going to see Weezer and the Pixies with my daughter tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
You'll have to let me know how the show is, because in a couple of weeks, my daughter and son-in-law are going to go see Weezer. And I'm actually going to be babysitting my grandchildren for the first time. So.
Oh. Yeah, I saw Weezer 20 years ago when they had the original lineup on tour for Pinkerton. So, I haven't seen them in a long time, but I'm expecting good things.
I saw Weezer, but I'm on Symbicort now, so it's not a problem anymore.
All right, John, I'm not meaning to ignore you. How was your week?
Well, it started with you ignoring me, and it ended up with you not ignoring me.
Just like being married.
Yeah, well, I've been through that twice. So, no, I've been busy with work. Finished up Full Metal Alchemist, the entire series. I just shotgunned that whole thing. Brotherhood, not the original. And working on the next Fate series for anime. And catching up on all the rest of the week. I finished off Stabbity Bunny, at least the book that I have. Those are guys that we've interviewed before, and we're friends of the show. And I can't wait to see them at the New York Comic Con, where I can grab them by the lapels, shake them, and ask them what the hell is going on. That's about it.
So wait. So what I'm actually hearing is you haven't gotten any more of your writing of your book finished.
I got 2 pages done, which is not great. But then work is. I've been working maybe 12 hours a day because they've got me on like 4 projects.
And you still haven't organized your notes from the last con that we were at.
I got half of those done. I'll have them uploaded tomorrow.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to that.
And you, Dave, how was your week?
Well, actually, I've been working on something special. It was just launched today.
I thought North Korea was the only one that was working on new missiles.
We've started a new campaign on our Teespring store. We're calling it Not All Heroes Wear Capes. And it's just a simple t-shirt. It's our logo, but done in pink. I changed the colors, so it's all pink. It's for breast cancer awareness. And the proceeds are all going to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So the shirts are $21.99 on our Teespring store. There's a link in the notes for the episode. And I'm doing this because I haven't talked about this on the show much. John knows because you're my friend. My mother-in-law has stage 4 breast cancer, and the National Breast Cancer Foundation has done a lot to help her out. So this is my way to give back. So it's a simple. I
don't know if I told you, but my mother is a breast cancer survivor, so I get it.
Yeah. So it's a simple design. It's our logo. It says "Not all heroes wear capes." There's the National Breast Cancer Foundation or organization logo on the back, and so check it out. If you this way you support our show and you support a great organization. So, speaking of that, Joey.
Yeah.
You told us about your show. Where can people find you before we forget to ask you that?
Oh, well, yeah, I never forget to be pimping out the show. Don't worry about that. Like Alec Baldwin said, always be closing. That's kind of my motto for life. But, it's pretty easy. We podcast weekly, so we have not missed a week in episode 206 coming out this week. So 206 straight weeks of podcasting. You can find us on iTunes / Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just about any pod-catching app under the sun, or on our website at SoWizardPodcast.com.
206 episodes. That's quaint.
Yes, and the difference is we take weeks off here and there. So
yeah, we're starting a podcast war right here, right in front of you. going to be a rumble.
I think they would beat us because, Joey's
That's
relentless.
True. That's true. Yeah.
It's just, I really have nothing else going on in my life, so that's why.
Well, after people check out SoWizardPodcast.com?
Yes, SoWizardPodcast.com.
I thought so. Yeah, SoWizardPodcast.com. Don't
If we
forget
say
to
it a
check
few more
out
times.
SuperheroSpeak.com, where you can not only find our show every week, you can find places to download it like iTunes, Stitcher, all those great places. We are not on Spotify.
Did you apply to be on Spotify?
Well, I'll talk to you about that later. But we're not on there right now. But everywhere else podcasts are, we're there. So yeah. All right. Now let's get on to the news.
Let's do it.
And let's start with an article. I know that you're still an animate comic book reader, Joey.
Oh yeah.
And so I definitely wanted to start with an article related to comic books. And of course, the Fantastic Four are making their triumphant return to the written word.
Is this because the mouse is about to buy Fox?
And, well, that's the thing. So it seemed like a couple of characters went away for a while, and now the merger's coming through. They're starting to come back. So I'm not sure. But what do you think about them coming back to the comics, Joey?
Okay, that's great.
It's going to be Dan Slott and Sarah.
Oh, never mind.
Joey, I knew it. On art.
Yeah, not really a big Dan Slott fan, so I guess I'll give it an issue or two, and at that point I'll make a decision. Unfortunately, comics are so expensive nowadays that I can't really say I'll give it an arc or I'll pick up the trade. It's $4 or $5 a pop. Comics were 75 cents to $1. Yeah, I'll buy 6 issues of something, and then if it sucks, I'll drop it. Now it's like I'll buy 1 issue, and if I'm not into it by 5 pages in, it's going in the trash pile, and it's done. So.
Yeah, I remember back when in 91, 90, 92, when I was really collecting, and I would have them put aside a whole box full of all different issues for me, and I'd walk out of there with $60 every 2 weeks or so. But I'd have like you said, entire arcs and all different issues of all different comics just to check. Nowadays, $60 will buy what, like 7, 8,
10,
maybe
10 comics.
10.
Yeah.
If you're not talking tax or a special edition or a variant cover or whatever, and it's not enough anymore. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but adjusting for inflation, even it's gone way up, right? Because I feel like I make a lot more money than I did then, and I could afford a lot more comics back then.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I agree with you, Joey. I'm not a big Dan Slott fan, and the art style is that, somewhere between anime and Saturday morning cartoon style, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, again, I was a late 80s, early 90s kid collecting, when I wouldn't necessarily say there was hyper realism, but there was more stylized art than there is today.
Okay, but why are the two of you against Dan Slott? I'd like to hear that. Because, again, I'm a DC guy. I haven't read Dan Slott.
Because he destroyed Spider-Man.
Oh, well.
I think it's a combination of I don't like his writing on Spider-Man, and I certainly don't like his personality from his social media. So, combination of the two. So.
Yes. Before he got rid of his Twitter, he had both Superhero Speak and So Wizard blocked.
Did he have us blocked? I don't remember. I might have said something in the past 4 years that Spider-Man sucked to him. I don't remember. But
probably.
It's possible. That's something that's kind of sad a little bit too. I mean, it's possible that, Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko were assholes, but we didn't know, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
now we have this window into their lives, and it's just like, ew, why would I want to give this person my money?
That's actually pretty bad, because back in, like you say, back in the day, before social media and the internet, you could read it and kind of like his storylines, but not know that other stuff he was writing was terrible or whatever. Now you get forewarned, which, this kind of press is not good for them. And it's funny. I just did a Google on Dan Slott, and one of the first things that comes up is Dan Slott is the worst Spider-Man writer of all time, and I'll show you why.
Wow, wait. He's not the worst writer of all time.
Wait, okay.
Spider-Man in a world where J. Michael Straczynski is breathing, I don't think he's...
Wait. No. Straczynski, you don't talk about Straczynski. He's made some missteps, but overall, he's a damn good writer as far as I'm concerned.
He could be a good writer, just not a good Spider-Man writer.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I said he made missteps.
I don't know. I can take or leave Straczynski. There's a couple of his stories that I liked, but yeah, Slott. There's nothing that he wrote for Spider-Man that I like. So, Speaking of a-holes,
oh jeez,
yikes!
Apparently, Ed Norton is still complaining about the script for the Incredible Hulk.
Now, admittedly, I read that in a couple of other articles about this stuff, and it does sound like they did shortchange him a lot.
Well, so this just recently, he was at a roast for Bruce Willis over the weekend, and he was one of the roasters, which I still don't understand how that happened. And while he was there, he was talking about that. But the thing is, what's interesting is I also read another article, The Rules of Marvel, or of the MCU, and no actor has any creative control over the stories, and it's because Ed Norton made a big stink and wanted to rewrite the entire script.
Now, what kind of... I've never heard of Ed Norton having, writing credits. Am I, wrong?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joey. I thought you talked about this on So Wizard, about him being a kind of a pain to work with.
Yeah, he's notorious for being behind the scenes. I don't want to say cancer, but being a cancer behind the scenes. That sounds strong, like he's a complete jerk, but I guess he is very strong-willed and has ideas and tries to take over production of the movie, whether rewriting scenes or even trying to rewrite the full script, stuff like that. So, on one hand, it's cool because he obviously cares a lot. He cares enough about the movie to be like, wait, I don't think my character would do this. I want it to go this way. That's cool. But at the same time, when it pretty much destroys the movie, it's not good,
Well, yeah. From what I read, though, most of the stuff that he wrote got put on the cutting floor anyway, which is why he didn't get a writing credit for the movie.
Right.
Which makes sense now.
Well, I think you'd be pissed, too, though, if, you were a complete douche on the set of Hulk, and then they're like, all right, bye. And now Mark Ruffalo gets to be in, all these super popular movies, and you're hanging around doing a voice in Sausage Party.
That said, though, Mark Ruffalo, I think we lucked out on that one because Mark Ruffalo has a much better personality and I think a more appropriate screen presence for these movies than Ed Norton did.
Yeah, I think Ruffalo is more believable as Bruce Banner.
He's more earnest.
Yeah,
It does, though, make me sad now that things from the Incredible Hulk movie are more or less relegated to plot points in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and really not being referenced.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just saying, we're never going to see Abomination again. We're never going to see Betty again. We're never going to
I'm really sad about Jennifer Connelly myself. But.
Well, we got Thunderbolt Ross again, so, there's hope, right?
No, that's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'll give you that one.
Boom.
All right. I found it amusing that 10 years later he's still harping on this when it's just give up already. And speaking of ideas that you give up, I'm sorry. That's wrong of me. and you guys are not going to agree with. I don't know. Maybe you'll agree with my thoughts on this or not. But Black Widow finally finds a director in Kate Shortland.
Hey, we're already ahead. Black Widow's got a movie.
So I don't know anything about Kate Shortland. She's, I don't know anything that she's directed. She did some kind of German film, I think, called Lure, in 2012.
Pretty much the only movie she's done.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, apparently they did talk to like 52 possible directors, and she won out.
She did other stuff. She did Secret Life of Us, The Silence, Berlin Syndrome, whatever that was.
Okay, have you seen any of those movies?
No, I think
Okay.
I might have seen an episode of Secret Life of Us. I remember it vaguely, but otherwise, not really. So yeah, it's kind of a mystery to see how she might do on this.
So my issue, and I've brought this up on the show before, is I don't think Black Widow is a strong enough character to carry a movie on her own, and we kind of already got her origin story, so I'm not really sure what they're going to give us.
Filler?
Does anyone agree or disagree with that? How about you, Joey?
I disagree with that. I'm really well, there's a couple levels of this. One, I'm really Black Widow movie. I'm not excited about a prequel movie about her origins. Not even remotely. I hate prequels at all. I just hate them. Like, no matter what happens in this movie, Black Widow is not going to be killed or injured in any way. Nothing that happens to her will affect anything because it has to end up back at where she is at Iron Man 2. So, a lot of stakes are taken away. In terms of director, my vision for a Black Widow movie is kind of a lower budget action movie. I was kind of hoping we'd get some sort of action director. I always kept saying, and I've been saying this for almost like 3 years in the podcast, please, Marvel, hire every single person that worked on the Raid and then give them Scarlett Johansson and say, make a Black Widow movie. Like, give me a really good action movie. It's my main concern. Can this person shoot hand-to-hand combat scenes? But if somebody said to me, hey, I've got the directors of episodes of Community and they're going to direct Captain America, I would have been like, what the fuck is this? I'm not interested in that at all. So God knows I don't know what I'm talking about, but I could be surprised. But just on face value, I have no idea what this person brings to the table. So I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
I don't want any shaky cam crap. And
or cut up action scenes, like cut to hell action scenes.
Right. And I just, that's my main concern, I think, is how well they handle action scenes, and the fact that it's going to be a prequel is just, I'm not feeling that at all.
If they can do John Wick style action scenes, that would be best. I mean, personally, I think Scarlett Johansson could carry this movie. I think if the writing is good enough, the character of Black Widow has enough backstory, more than enough relationship-wise, more than enough tormented-wise, that she could she could carry a movie. So Scarlett Johansson, good writing. But I think part of the problem that they might see is that we already have a Black Widow movie out right now, or we had a couple of months ago. It was called Red Sparrow. It was ultra violent, and it was basically Black Widow, but with lots of beheadings and stuff. So if they could dial up maybe the Quentin Tarantino side of things on this, they could probably do a good job. Although it is the mouse, so probably not going to hold my breath on that.
Just 2 hours of Scarlett Johansson in a cat suit. That's all we really want, right?
Yeah, no, because we had that. It was called Catwoman. It sucked.
That's true. There's always that fear.
But no, I think it could be good. It's going to be a matter of the writing, I think, because. But Marvel's been doing pretty well with all the rest of their writing these days. I think they've got a pretty good method down now. They've got a good cadre of writers. I think they got enough people, warning them off of the the stupider tropes, so I think we should be okay.
I mean, I guess my only issue is every time they talk about this movie, they make it sound like it's going to be a prequel, which that could be a red herring as well.
Don't want a prequel. I agree with you guys on that. We don't need a prequel.
Right, because you don't spend 10 years building this universe and then now all of a sudden shift back 12 years before anything happens and before all your other characters come in and say, okay, now here's just one of the characters' stories that we took a long time to tell you. I just don't think that works. So we'll see. I'll wait till I see a preview. How's that?
Fair enough.
All right. All right. So now across the aisle, DC.
Yay! No. Boo.
No. This is interesting. That Walmart will begin selling an exclusive monthly DC anthology, starting July. Oh, okay.
They're already out.
Yeah, apparently, I didn't know that. This article just came. Oh, I just saw it today, but it actually came out last month. Haha!
That's Superhero Speak, bringing you all the news that was just a month ago.
We're on the cutting edge of the news.
We're on the cutting edge of last month.
So I don't know. What do you guys think of this? So it's an anthology where it's going to have a mixture of reprinted stories and then some new stories mixed in.
They do this all the time with books.
Is this going to bring in actual readers? Are people at Walmart going to buy this?
It can in fiction world. If you get the right people to write the new stuff, it's enough of a hook to bring people in to read, to buy the book. And if they buy the book and they read some of the older stuff and they like it, it's an on-ramp. This is just one big on-ramp, trying to get new blood into reading comics and wanting to purchase stuff. So it's really going to depend on how they do with the new stories, and if they got good rates for that.
I don't know, Joey. Did you run out and buy one of these?
I haven't run out and bought any of them yet. I haven't even looked at them, to be quite honest with you. I haven't had a chance to set foot in a Walmart. I have seen people buying them and flipping them on eBay.
Wow. Okay.
Online already. And some of the comic book groups I'm in on Facebook, people like raging with like furious anger about them for some reason. About, because there's new stories in there. I think there's Bendis writing Batman has been one of them.
Mm-hmm.
A couple others. There's new content, so people are flipping out that it's not available for the comic shops and it's only available at Walmart. But it's a gateway drug. It's an attempt at a gateway drug for people to get into comics. I think a lot of people seem to forget. When I started reading comics, I mean, the first comic I ever bought was at a convenience store while my mom was getting milk.
Yep. You
don't have that experience nowadays. There's no drugstores or, little grocery stores, bodegas, places with spinner racks anymore. It's, some dirty hole-in-the-wall store somewhere, maybe 2 or 3 towns over. And if that was the only way to be honest, though, if that was the only way to find comics, I might not have ever started reading comics, because my parents would have had no reason to take me to a comic book store. My kids are into comics because I read comics and got them into comics. Otherwise, I don't think they would have had any interaction with it, period. So having these on the shelves is great. It just depends on what the content is. A random smattering of generic stories from all over the place that have no sense or anything, I mean, might be a little much for your new reader to jump into 15 different continuities and teams and whatnot. But
yeah, that's what I was going to say is it's tough to pick up just a single issue anymore and read it and have a full story. Like, everything is a big connected story anymore. So unless they're writing good standalone stories for this, I don't know how all of a sudden you pick up in, let's say, Court of Owls, issue 3 and understand what's going on.
Right.
Well, again, in fiction world, usually the short stories that you get, the new short stories you get to put in these anthologies is maybe a short story for a character from a series that the story itself is self-contained, but it's a good on-ramp into that series as well. So, I mean, again, I don't know if they're going to, what they're going to do with this. I've got a Walmart near me. I'll go pick it up this weekend. I guess,
Yeah.
if I can find it. I'm looking at their website and I can't see it at all.
Yeah, there's 4 titles. There's Batman, Superman, Justice League featuring Wonder Woman, and Teen Titans. So.
Right. Yeah, and it's saying Tom King, Dan Jurgens, Brian Michael Bendis, Andy Kubert, and others are all working on these stories. So
that's okay.
So I'm going to leave this up to the audience. If you have read any of these books yet, tweet us and let us know what you think of them, because I might venture into a Walmart to pick one up, but I try to avoid those places as much as I can.
I wish Marvel was doing something like this. My son's way more into Marvel than DC, so
that would get me into a Walmart. Speaking of DC Comics, I thought this was interesting. Now, I don't know, I can't think of when they've done this before, but apparently DC actually created an official TV commercial spot to introduce that Bendis is now writing Superman. And it's kind of like, wow, are they really that proud that they stole Bendis away? And I'm going to ask Joey, because I have my own opinions on the man. Is he a writer that's enough to make you go, yeah, I'm going to now start reading Action Comics again?
Especially after reading his Superman, no. But no, not anymore. I think maybe 10 years ago, if they had stolen him away in the height of Ultimate Spider-Man, that era, that would have been a much bigger coup. But I think his style's kind of, I don't know, what word am I looking for? It's gotten old, I guess. I'm all set. I'm all set with Bendis kind of stuff. I really wasn't reading any of his stuff. I really didn't like his run on Avengers. I know that might be sacrilegious to some people, but I was not happy with his work on Avengers all the way back to when it started. I don't think Wolverine or Spider-Man really should be Avengers. And I didn't like the way he behaved in interviews. I'll never forget, there was one line he said in an interview, and this is going back 15 years, that if you want to see the old Avengers lineup, go read your back issues. Mm. It's like, all right, well, whatever, buddy. And then I stopped reading Avengers.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't said this in a while, but whenever we would talk about the Ultimates on this show, I call it Bendis' ego trip. It was
great. He does really good with street level characters. Jessica Jones was awesome. His run on Daredevil was really good. Whenever he tries to venture into too much superhero, too much cosmic, big picture stuff, to me at least, it always fell really flat. So, if they announced he was taking over Batman or the Creeper or something like that, Green Arrow, I'd be a lot more excited. But, I understand why they want to pump up Superman. But it was doing good anyway before that, and
I think you just said it. I think him and Green Arrow would be perfect. DC, are you listening?
Dude, we both know they're not listening.
No.
we all know that DC hasn't listened for quite some time.
We've had quite a few people that work for DC on this show. They might be listening.
Well, no, the people that work for DC, yes. The people in charge, no.
Well, see, the thing is, though, I'm sure that Bendis walked in and said, I want Superman. And they were just like, okay, you can have it.
Of course.
It wasn't like, oh, this is the book we think you best works for you and you're a good fit. Yeah, so.
I just have residual anger because his appearance, they canceled Super Sons for that. So that was probably one of my top comics that I'm still reading at this point. So.
It's funny though. They even had an article in the New York Times about this. They're really thinking this is going to be big or different or whatever. But like you said, Dave, I mean, I've kept up with the New 52 stuff and then the Rebirth stuff a little bit, and at least with Batman, Superman, and I've liked it so far. I don't know if I want it to change per se.
Yeah, I mean, writing wise, there's a handful of writers that are I wouldn't even call them household names, but they're known names in comics. And So the fact that they were able to, quote unquote, steal one away from Marvel, who was the guy for a while there. Yeah, that's why they're making a big deal about it, but I don't know. Give it to Snyder.
He can't write everything.
No, he can't.
I still haven't read any of Metal yet either, so I guess.
Oh, you should.
I got the first issue and I tried reading it like 15 times and I kept getting like 3 pages in and being like, oh, words. So now I'm just going to buy a couple of the trades and force myself to get through it. So.
Yeah, that's what package style, so I can just buy the whole shot. I'm just waiting for it. I just don't have time to go out every month and buy this stuff.
Speaking of risks taken,
damn it!
I know you guys have been chomping at it, wondering if this is just a rumor or if it's official.
No.
But Warner Brothers has officially come out and announced that yes, Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is happening.
Great. So now we have 2 Jokers simultaneously because they still got Leo as Joker in another upcoming movie.
The thing I find fascinating about this is they keep bringing up the point that we're doing it for a $55 million budget. It's like, yeah, and
well, maybe he can fight what's his name, Carnage or Venom. Yeah, put him against Venom. There you go. I mean, they're both like superhero villains without the superheroes.
I think the one of the best lines I heard was when Hollywood Babylon, Ralph Garman and Ken Smith were talking about it. Garman was like, "I just hope that he keeps the beard and just puts white makeup on it."
Does it? And for those of you that don't understand it, that is a callback way back to the '60s Batman and Cesar Romero. Yeah. Or these days they would have just CGI'd that crap.
So Joey, you're being quiet. What do you think of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie?
I don't know how I feel about it. Like, there's a part of me that says, wow, a big, serious actor like Joaquin Phoenix is signing on to do this. It must be a really good script. They must have some really interesting hook of this movie that it just has to get made. They must make this movie. And so kind of the way it almost feels like, screw the expanded universe. This Joker movie must be made. But at the same time, it's like, who is it being made for? Like, do general audiences want to see a serious reflection of the Joker and what makes him tick? I don't really want to see that. And does that do damage to the brand when people show up for yet another DC movie, which it might actually be good, but it won't meet their expectations of what they're looking for in a superhero movie?
Right.
But even bigger than that, there is technically nothing that makes the Joker tick. The closest I've ever heard to an idea that of what makes him tick is that he is the only character in the DC universe that understands that he's in a comic book universe, and that's why he doesn't give a damn about killing so many people and all that. And he thinks it's all a big joke. So, but beyond that, I mean, it just the 2 things that you never want to do with the Joker is you never want to know his origin, his true origin. And you never want to know what makes him tick because he doesn't really have something that makes him tick. The only thing that he focuses on is Batman. That's it. The rest of it is just insanity.
Right.
We don't want to have it's like you said, I don't want to see 2 hours of a drama to make you see him, crying as he turns away from the camera because he's finally found his whatever. He's finally found his true relationship or his true calling or whatever. It's not him. He's not like that. He's just crazy. He kills people. He does whatever he thinks is funny. That's it.
Right. Sometimes I feel like Hollywood and some of these writers get in their head that we need to know like where these villains come from, and that's how we get things like Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
And that's not a good precedent for anything, so it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Have you ever, either of you ever read the Joker graphic novel?
Which
the one that came out? The one that came out around the time of The Dark Knight. Which it's funny because the way they drew the Joker in the graphic novel looks like what's his face from The Dark Knight? Heath Ledger, but they drew those pictures way before they were even working on the movie, and it's essentially it's a day in the life of the Joker. Like he gets out of jail and he goes to breaks out of jail, goes to the bar where he hangs out. There's Harley Quinn. It's a gritty, dirty look at the Joker, and like when it first came out, people were praising it. Critics were praising it and whatnot, and it's like it's kind of boring.
Yeah, this was 2008. You're talking about Brian Azzarello.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a former co-host of ours borrowed it from me, and I never got it back. But so if he's listening, I do want it back someday. But yeah, so I'm like, when I, like, it was okay. The most exciting part's at the end. Batman shows up, beats him up, and takes him back to jail. And it's like,
well, what was the point?
Right. So it's like, do I want 2 hours on the big screen of Joaquin Phoenix doing this? Like, no. Sorry, DC.
You got that all out? Are you okay now?
No.
Feel better?
No, actually I don't, because they're still making the movie. But you know what makes me feel better? I mean, made me feel ecstatic when I saw this headline. It has been confirmed that in the upcoming Aquaman movie starring Jason Momoa, we will be getting the classic costume.
No. Sorry. There's something in my throat keeps making me say
now, what
something.
that means exactly, I don't know. They talked to the costume designer, and they did say that they did make the costume for him. Like, is it going to be a flashback scene? Is it going to be one of the soldiers of Atlantis wears a uniform like that? But
there's only two versions of that are good. The Bruce Timm Aquaman Young Justice version and the Bruce Timm Justice League Unlimited Aquaman version.
It's like the New 52 version. Are you familiar with that one? So he's got green gloves that are like, I guess, up to his elbows.
Yeah.
And he's got fins on the back of his legs and fins on the gloves. And
yeah, but I think the Young Justice one is actually a little bit cooler, and the character model they had for him in Justice League Unlimited was, shirtless, but of course they don't want to show his nipples probably. Well, it's Jason Momoa. That would probably fill more seats. So, I don't know. Both of those are badass. If they're going to dress him up like the, I can talk to a fish Aquaman, I don't know how that's going to work.
How about you, Joey? Do you prefer the shirtless, tattooed Aquaman or the classic look?
Well, I like the classic look. I grew up with Super Friends a million years ago. God, that was a long time ago. Aquaman, I don't have a problem with his classic look, but I understand why it doesn't translate well to live action. And I certainly, there's certain characters. I don't want Superman, for example, to show up in a neon green outfit. I don't need those kind of changes to Superman. Aquaman, I don't feel like has that, obviously you like the classic look, but it's fine if they want to make changes to it. It's just freaking Aquaman. I don't have a problem with Jason Momoa. I think Jason Momoa looks badass as Aquaman. I'm pretty excited about the movie, despite how bad Justice League was. But, what really kind of gets my ass out about it is, can we not have any surprises anymore in these movies? Like,
no.
That would have been a nice, like, little thing. Like, it's probably literally like he opens his closet and sees it in there and goes, I'm not wearing that. Or something like silly like that. It's probably like a 5-second joke, or somebody walks by wearing it or something, you know. And now it's not. Now we're going to be waiting for it to show up instead of it just being something funny that happens. Like, we can't have any surprises with some of these movies.
Kind of like they did with Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage season 1, where he breaks out of prison, puts that yellow shirt on, and.
Well, no, that's just what was left over as he was climbing out of the rubble. He looks over and says, "I look like a fool."
No, the yellow shirt was hanging on the clothesline.
Oh, okay, all right. But no, it was the tiara thing.
That was from the prison. Yeah. John, you and your Swiss memory.
That was like 18 series ago.
All right. And so moving on from DC, we have a little bit of Spawn news.
God.
The Man of Arrows from the MCU, Jeremy Renner, is going to be playing Twitch in the Spawn movie. I am not sure how I feel about this. I'm still not sure how I feel about the Spawn movie. I mean, Jamie Foxx's Spawn. Yes, he's an Oscar winner. Yes, he's a good actor. But it just seems like an odd choice. So I don't know. What do you guys think? How about you, Joey?
They must have a really good script for this.
Yeah.
Because there's like pretty big name actors signing on. You know, I was under the impression that this was going to be really low budget. So I was expecting unknowns or like D and E and F grade actors in it. But instead we're getting Jeremy Renner and Jamie Foxx, who are, you know, bigger stars. And this era, there aren't any like huge movie stars, probably other than Tom Cruise, but those are pretty big names to be signed up for this movie. I'm still interested. I like Spawn. I haven't read it in, I don't know, how long has it been since it was even remotely relevant? When did issue 27 come out? I think that was the last time I read Spawn. But I'm interested. I'm way more concerned about Todd McFarlane directing it. It seems like, again, you know, I could be completely wrong, but it seems like a huge misfire. I don't think you get another chance. You have this golden age of superhero movies, so you're going to get your Spawn reboot finally, and to potentially screw it up with Todd McFarlane directing it. Like, there wasn't anyone out there in the entire world as a director that could have made this movie. I could think of like 10 off the top of my head I'd rather have direct this movie that would probably come cheap, but that's more scary to me than anyone that's working in the movie. So,
yeah, I agree with that too, because the idea that it must be a really good script, because to take a chance on Todd McFarlane directing, it's like, oh well, they must believe that the script's good enough to carry it. You know, I mean, I know John's looking forward to
it. No. I mean,
have you even read a Spawn issue in your life?
Yeah, I have. But that last movie was bad enough to taint 2 movies. So I guess we'll just wait. I'll wait for it to come out on Netflix or free on demand.
We've talked about this before, though. Big problem with the original Spawn movie is they spent a lot of the money on that cape special effect.
Yeah. Yeah, but well, like you said, they probably have a really good script. We'll see what Rotten Tomatoes says in the early reviews. Maybe I'll go see it in a theater. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm waiting now for them to say Tom Cruise is going to be in the movie as the Violator, you know.
Or the Redeemer. Or Overkill.
There you go, Overkill. That'd be perfect.
Created by Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld on a VHS tape with Stan Lee.
Are you referring to those old, like, how to draw the Marvel method videos they used to do?
It was some sort of like direct-to-home video release where the three of them create a character.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's really
and
bad.
Rod Liefeld puts all those pouches on them.
And chains and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to link to that in the description notes so people can watch it. So, Joey, are you a Star Wars fan?
That's putting it mildly.
It took me a long time to realize where So Wizard came from. And then I realized, oh, wait, that's Anakin Skywalker in the beginning of the movie, in the beginning of the podcast.
When we first created the show, I guess if you can create a podcast of people sitting around talking, the original idea was the name was going to be Now This Is Podcasting. Because in episode 1, Anakin says, now this is pod racing.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as I Google searched that, there was already a podcast named that. So we had to go with our second pick. We had to settle. Even though my mom told me never to settle, we had to settle.
So the big Star Wars news is that the one and only Billy Dee Williams will be reprising his role as Lando Calrissian in episode 9.
Well, he's dead.
Can't wait to see how they kill him in this one.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the only reason that these characters are coming on time. Just hopefully this one isn't in real life.
Well, Kevin Smith's theory on this is that they're not going to kill Lando. They're going to kill the Falcon. And that's why.
Oh, God, no, they're not pulling a Star Trek on this. Come on. No. Come on.
Seriously, are you that attached to a vehicle?
Yes. They did it. I mean, they destroyed the Enterprise the first time in Star Trek. What was it, 4? Mm-hmm. And that was iconic. Okay, yeah. After all this time, they destroyed it, and okay, we get a new Enterprise. All right, good. And then every other movie, they destroyed the Enterprise because, hey, people liked it the first time. It's like, no, man, it's a major plot point. You build up to that, you use it, and then you build on top of that. You don't just continually. I don't know. It's like the Three Stooges getting stuck in a doorway. It's funny the first couple of times, and after that, you're just like, can they just get on to the next scene? So, I don't know. They don't need to do that. By now it's a trope. It wouldn't be, people in the audience wouldn't be like, oh my God, like they were when the Enterprise died the first time. They would be like, oh, that's just like the Enterprise.
Possibly, yeah.
And I'm not gonna hold my breath for a Millennium Falcon 1701B. Okay.
Yeah, I think they missed the boat. They should have had him and Han back together.
Oh, definitely. There's stories about them having written themselves into a corner with the last movie. So, they're going for grandiose gestures, but not good storytelling. And they're not going for consistent storytelling. So, I mean, unlike the Marvel stuff, it doesn't seem like they have a coherent plan for these next few movies. They're just throwing stuff up. And, they're saying like, oh, well, now's when we're going to blow up the Millennium Falcon. Great. Why does that happen? Well, they'll come up with a reason during that movie, but it's not going to be built on anywhere, and it'll probably disappear in the next movie.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
When me and Mark were at Rhode Island Comic Con, I think, was it last year, 2 years ago? I don't know. I lose track of time. Billy Dee Williams' panel, he seemed not happy that he hadn't been asked to be in any of the new movies yet. He also seemed really old.
Yeah, well, they were getting on. That's part of the problem. But you're right. They should have asked them all right up front. Pass it on next generation style instead of this trickle trickle dead thing.
Right. And it's so funny. He was at a Wizard World Philly. Oh God, maybe 6-7 years ago. I was volunteering, and I actually didn't get a chance to meet him, but everyone who met him said he's really nice, he's really great. Just don't mention Colt 45 to him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, apparently he. Not that he regrets doing it. It's just everyone does it when they come up to meet him. So.
He did seem really happy anytime anyone mentioned anything that wasn't Star Wars. So.
Yeah, well, he had a decent career before Star Wars. Don't know what happened after it.
Well, he was in Harlem Nights, wasn't he?
Oh, that's true. Yes, but I think that's the last big movie I could think of him being in. And then he was on an episode of Modern Family a couple years ago.
I think he was in Rebels a couple.
Oh, well, that's true. Yes, this was an interesting point someone brought up, was that anytime that his voice, like they've had Lando in something, it has been voiced by him.
Right.
So yeah, there's only been 2 characters that have consistently been voiced by the same actor, C-3PO and Lando. So,
which is good. He was in the Lego Batman movie,
right? As Lando.
Yeah.
No, he was Harvey Dent in that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Lego Batman movie. Yes,
the Lego Batman. Now Lego Star Wars, Lego Star Wars Droid Tales, Lego Star Wars Rebels, Robot Chicken. Okay, there you go. He's been in a lot of Robot Chicken.
Yes.
And that's it. NCIS, two episodes, I think.
All right. Well, now we got to get him on the podcast.
All right.
So I've got one last article to round out the fun conversation we're having by bringing the room down a little bit.
Oh boy.
And the only reason I bring this up is because it's been a topic of conversation around like dinner table and at work, and I'm just I want to put the feelers out there and see what people think about this. So Superman, Henry Cavill, or the guy who's beating up Tom Cruise in the latest Mission Impossible movie. So it still makes him everyone's hero. He recently, in an interview with GQ, said that he doesn't currently, how did he put it? Like, he doesn't pursue women. He kind of just he might ask them out. If they say no, then he just moves on. You know, he doesn't flirt or anything. And basically said he does it to protect himself, right? Because he's somebody who's in the public eye, and with everything going on right now, it's just, safer for him. And there was a huge backlash online for him saying this. And so he's come out and apologized for seeming insensitive with his comments. So kind of curious what you guys might think. So Joey, what did you think of Henry Cavill's comments?
You could leave it right like that, and that would be a valid point of view.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really even know what to say to that. I haven't had to date or approach anyone in that way in 23 years, so I don't know. I'm assuming the dating landscape is much different than it was when I was a senior in high school, which was the last time I was trying to date. So I don't even know where to begin with that. But, I mean, it's a valid point. You don't want to seem like a creeper. And when you're a celebrity, you could – maybe he's just awkward. Like talking to him coming off as awkward to somebody. All of a sudden TMZ's blowing up with Henry Cavill as a weirdo. So, it makes sense. Probably not worded the best of ways, but, it does make sense.
Right.
Well, it's hard to approach a woman when you have a CGI'd mustache.
Well, actually, so what do you're someone who's currently dating or attempting to date, John.
Oh, there's a bag of worms.
Do you feel any differently with how you approach women now?
Kind of, yeah. But then, it's not that hard to to not be a creeper. You just you don't be a creeper. I mean, it's. I saw one comment. It's like it's really easy not to stalk a woman. Just don't stalk her. The attitudes these days
I think
are.
You're paraphrasing.
I am paraphrasing, yes, because I didn't want to go the other way. Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to be, I'll paraphrase it still, but I'll change it exactly. It was, if you don't want to be accused of being a stalker, then just don't be a stalker.
Right.
But I think
it's
go
hard.
ahead.
It's harder these days. It is, but by the same token, as long as you're not touching people unwarranted or anything even worse, then you're fine,
Yeah. I think the other side of the coin is we're not in the public eye, right? Like, yes, we do a podcast, but we're not famous like Henry Cavill or any of these other celebrities. So it's like, you don't know how that feels right now, so if you were somebody really famous and, sorry, John, uber attractive and well built like Henry Cavill.
That's fair.
I could see you being a way more cautious about dating,
I'm sure it's really tough for Henry Cavill to meet the ladies.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say,
Well, that's
cautious, the yes, but when you look like him and you've got his build and his height and you could snap your fingers I don't.
I think the problem is he doesn't have any issues meeting the ladies, so he's got to be more careful.
Yeah. You gotta wonder who he's had to go after, because I'm sure the women come after him most of the time.
Right. Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's where that came from. Do the women go after him, and he's just like, no, I'm not interested unless he really feels a spark or something, and maybe that's where his comments really came from. If only we had his problems, gentlemen.
Well, then your wife would be pissed, but that's
that's true. Damn it.
Both of your wives. For shame. I'll take his problems. I can handle it.
So this is another question I'll pass off on to the listeners too. What do you guys think? Not necessarily was he right or wrong for what he said, but did he deserve the backlash he got for saying it? Yeah, I'm kind of curious what our audience thinks. So,
just one last thing. As far as the backlash is concerned, this is the days of the internet. I think it's getting worse per year, where you can get backlash for just about anything you say. So of all the things that we should be concentrating on and all the problems in the world these days, this is, I don't know. It's like TMZ worthy. It's not. We shouldn't have to bother with it.
We live in a TMZ world, though.
He could probably hear the internet outrage machine cranking up as the words were coming out of his mouth. He should have stopped speaking immediately. Thankfully, it's 6 days later. We're already on to arguing about She-Ra cartoons, so no one cares.
Oh God, I saw that right before we went to record.
Oops.
Yeah, that's a typo. That's a topic for the next episode.
Yay.
Thundercats and She-Ra. They're coming back, whether we want them to or not.
Another Thundercats. They better not be as bad as the last one.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Some really bad news.
Is it Thundercats Go? It's Thundercats Go, isn't it?
No, it's Thundercats Roar. Just look it up and you'll enjoy it.
Same difference. Although I will say this. The Justice League one, what is it? It's not Justice League Go. I forget what it is. Justice League Action. Yeah. That turned out to be good. But it's not anything like Teen Titans Go.
All right.
So we'll see.
All right. I think that's a good place to wrap it up on. So, Joey, real quick, just remind our listeners where they can follow you guys and listen to your show.
Yeah, who are you again?
Well, if you want to hear more of me talking on a weekly basis with my co-hosts Mark Ellis and Aubrey, you can check us out on So Wizard Podcast. So we're available on iTunes / Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just about any podcatching app under the sun, or you can find us on our website, sowizardpodcast.com, where there's links to all our social media accounts. We've got movie reviews and streaming picks weekly and so much more. sowizardpodcast.com.
Cool. And so we've had Mark Ellis, we've had Joey. That means we're coming for you next, Aubrey.
Oh, good luck.
That just came off creeperish.
Good luck.
On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.